right. Hello, everybody, and those expecting a Mega Man block. Sorry to interrupt this for some different kind of shooting today. I'm Pro-A007. Happy to be joining you here for my 6th Retrothon, and for the second straight year, I'll be playing the Syphon Filter trilogy for the PlayStation 1. This will be played in order, and this is an any % category for all 3 games. So, yeah, so let's get started. So we'll start off with Siphon Filter 1. The clock will start when I press start. Whoops. Okay, here we go. So, counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is been a staple for
when does the operation begin?
The RGL Retrothons in the past, but for those not familiar with the game, this was originally released in February of 1999. It was made by Eidetic, which is now Sony Bend. They most notably did recently the Days Gone game for the PS4. And this game is kind of a hybrid of GoldenEye and Tomb Raider with a dash of some other shooting games. So this opening mission here is really just kind of designed to get you used to all the game's little quirks and idiosyncrasies. That was a slow bomb. Usually I like to be out of there in 62 to 63 seconds. What you might have noticed me do there with that crate is I pressed the shoot and interact buttons at about the same time to basically do an interaction skip, which saves about 2 seconds every single time I do it. And in Syphon Filter 1, that is critical for good times. Estella is correct. Eidetic's first game was indeed the infamous Bubsy 3D, which in these times would have killed the studio, but they got a second chance, and
taken out Kravitz and destroyed the comm equipment.
More than I think hit with Syphon Filter, which was one of the more successful PlayStation 1 games in 1999, in a pretty good year for the PS1 overall. And that was the year with Resident Evil 3 and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and FF8. So this game, I think, showed they could make a really good game, and I just missed that one. So two interact skip misses in a row. Hopefully try and improve upon that. So this opening mission is pretty good in setting the tone for Syphon Filter with its blend of action and having to move around and doing the different kinds of objectives. You got to take out an enemy terrorist. You got to protect a CBDC agent while he defuses a bomb. Planting trackers on bombs, that kind of stuff. So, it's a good intro to the franchise, and it's the first half of this is fairly non-linear. You could do those opening objectives really in any order you like. But for the sake of timing, this is the fastest way.
CBDC to get its guys down here.
The crouch walk interaction skip is a variant on that. It only works with like bombs and that kind of stuff. It saves about a second. So, hard time getting into the interaction skips so far. 1 for 4. So we're like 6 or 7 seconds slower than I would like to be. Okay, so reaching the end of this mission here, it's basically a straight shot to the finish. Just going to interact with this bomb, and that'll close out the mission. The only thing with this is I can't be too close to the center wall here because this guy's going to throw a grenade. If I'm too close to the wall, it will bounce off the grenade. It will bounce off the wall and be near the bomb, and will set off the bomb.
Wait.
So we can't have that. So yeah, it was 418. That's pretty slow. Okay, so basically the bomb explodes and destroys the subway. So now Gabe's got to get out of here. And this is going to have one of a few, I guess, sequence breaks in the game. I'm going to roll through this fire here, like so. And this saves about 25 seconds. So normally you're supposed to go all the way around, but, you know, we don't have time for that.
That should be all the C4
So,
in that passage.
and this also allows me to despawn a few guard encounters along the way. There will be a few other skips like this in the game, where I'm going to use fire, basically a damage boost through fire to skip through sections of the game. That opening skip is not very difficult. It's best if you have a two-handed weapon because Gabe gets a better roll that way as opposed to if you had a pistol. Missed that one.
Leon, I found the gas main.
Yeah,
I'm shutting it down.
Normally you're supposed to shimmy across that chasm, but if you line yourself upright, you can just run across the edge. We call that the leap of faith. There we go. So here is a objective where I'm going to protect the CBDC agent. I'm going to take out two guards, one in front and one behind me.
Cover me.
Okay, I got all three this time. It wasn't necessary that I take out all three. Two would have been sufficient to proceed this game. And the game's kind of finicky with that, though, sometimes. You can take out the correct number of guards, but, you know, the game might not register it. And if you go too far away, the game will automatically fail you on the mission objective. So that's the end of level 2. So the next one is a mini boss fight against Mar Aramoth, a recurring villain throughout the series. What I'm trying to do is do a quick U-turn and get a headshot before she runs. And I missed. That's unfortunate. Okay. So I lost about 5 seconds there.
Where's Romer? Where are the other bombs?
So this next mission was rather infamous in last year's trilogy run for Retrothon.
Leon, I'm on my way to the park.
Blew the same bomb twice for, I think, frankly, ridiculous reasons, but the game doesn't care, so... So this mission here is essentially 2 parts. The first part is I'm going to try and defuse all these bombs, or protect these CBDC agents defusing these bombs. There are 4 of them.
CBDC has the signal. They're on their way.
So this first one's pretty straightforward.
Cover me.
Take out this guard and I can just proceed. So the second bomb is by far the most challenging, just because I'm basically protecting the CBDC agent from about 360 degrees, and the guards will come from different directions, and it can be difficult to get rid of them all in a timely manner. So, but if they got 5, I'm probably just going to go for 6 just to play it safe. I don't want a repeat of last year. Okay, so I'm going to position myself by this tree, and this should give me enough cover for most bombs, most of the guards. Okay, there's...
All clear, Gabe.
Yeah, I definitely overcompensated there, but actually, it's probably just as well I did that because, you know, 2 extra guards popped up along with number 5, so You know, those guys are carrying 45 pistols. 45 is a pretty powerful gun in this game, so just as well played it safe there. But yeah, overall my pace is about 15 seconds off where I'd like to be right now. As rendering is also an issue with this game sometimes. Because yes, you can go through the floor.
CBDC has the signal. They're on their way.
And
Stand.
death is not
Cover me.
death is not exactly something you want to have very much of in this game, just because it is very punishing.
Bomb disarmed.
Because some of these mistakes can cost you up to 2 minutes. Like if I had blown this bomb here, that's at least 45 seconds. Because I would have had to run all the way back for the second
CBDC has
bomb.
the signal. They're on their way. Stand by.
This last bomb's pretty easy.
Cover me.
Again, I'm playing it pretty safe with these bombs. I would have run after that third guard, but so, alright, so now we got a kind of a pseudo-stealth section here where I have to take out these terrorists who are holding 2 CBDC agents hostage. So I'm gonna take out both with silenced weapons.
Right.
Okay, so I've got about 17 rounds for the M16. I'm going to use the last of this on Marcos, who is not really a mini-boss, but he is an objective after this, if I take care of this uplink
I'm
dish.
getting interference. You must be right on top of their uplink dish.
Check.
Okay, gotta be careful. If I rolled the wrong way, I would have gone straight off the edge and hit the bottom, and that would have been a death. Oh boy. Really screwed up the setup there, but at least I didn't, die, or I didn't lose him, because that would have been pretty bad. Yeah, it was not a good setup. I overcompensated there. Okay, so the end is here, and then we're on to our first boss, Girdu.
I'm at the entrance. Tell CBDC to get their team moving.
Hurry, Gabe. You don't have much time.
Okay, so Girdu just 3 shotgun blasts through the fuel tank on his back.
Anton Gerdu.
Just gotta be careful because he is carrying a flamethrower.
Gabe, you're
Right. Where did you go? Oh.
You can tell, you can know when you can hit him again when the danger meter starts to turn
Gabe,
on.
are you all right?
He's finished.
So 12:43 for the opener. 12:20, 12:25
analyzed
is
blood taken from Robert's
normal.
men. It contains
So this next level has a forced stealth section at the beginning here that we're going to skip a large chunk of with the Fagin skip. I'm going to try and get ahead of him and say we've learned to follow him for 2.5 minutes. Okay, he's down. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that saves about 90 seconds doing that.
What are you doing here?
Gabe, Bacon's run for it. Roma and Airmob.
Okay.
He's fit.
You do not want to get into a shooting match with Ben, because Ben is actually pretty dangerous, and if he actually starts running toward you, he'll run in random patterns, but if he runs toward you, you're in a lot of trouble, because he's armed with a G18 machine pistol, and that does a ton of damage. So you'll notice I'm kind of skipping a lot of the interactions where I'm climbing, and that is kind of a variant on the interaction skip. And it's a nice little exploit. Okay, so there are certain guards who have key cards in this level, and you know, there's no RNG to those, but you just gotta take them out quickly. And that guy at the bottom there, he can run in one of three directions: left, straight back, or right. Right and straight back is the one you want, but it's random. So lucky me, he actually went in the preferred direction. My interaction skips continue to suck right now. There we go. So... Okay, I got a guard really close to me, so that's alright. Down he goes. So when you get to use it, the G18 is a very useful weapon in this game, and really in all three Siphon Filters. It's because of its high rate of fire, you can, if you're dealing with guards with flak jackets, you can spam the G18 and take them out pretty quickly. Especially if, you know, you're not worried about, you know, conserving ammo. Uh-oh, that guy is still targeting me, so I'm gonna have to take him out. Normally he leaves me alone, but that time he's like, no, I want to keep shooting at you. So not a big deal. It's just a little minor inconvenience. But like 95% of the time he leaves me alone. Ah, it's a little early or late on that one. I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna pick up the K3G4, which, provided I can actually, you know, open the damn things quickly, is the only gun that goes to flak jackets. Just gotta be careful. If I go off the edge by the catwalk by mistake, that's an instant death. So he ain't gonna survive that. So a decent-ish level, even though I missed like 5 interaction skips.
The entrance to the dinosaur.
Check.
So this level's really short. It only involves like getting one key card and then confronting Mara, who's holding Fagin at gunpoint. So there's gonna be a shotgun guard here at the top of this. He goes down, I pick up the key card, and then it's on to the end here. There's gonna be 2 guards up ahead, and how they move is a bit random. Ideally, I want them to run out in front of me before I get to the key card. They're like that. So the worst thing you can have happen here is they run into you because suddenly they will keep shooting at you.
Tell me where.
There goes Fagin. Is Mara still alive?
Yes. Now to get some
I
answers.
hope you enjoyed the taser, because that is the only time it will be used in this trilogy run. Sorry, folks. As much as we love the taser, it is not conducive to good speed running.
Leon?
Gabe, we needed Mara alive.
This just skips to the cutscene a little faster. Right, it saves about 2.5 seconds.
I've discovered why every mission in this investigation has been compromised. Check.
Now this mission's kind of tricky because it's kind of encouraging you to do it stealthily, but it's actually faster to kind of do a hybrid approach. So I'm going to be
Found a
stealth,
fuel tank.
ideally, and this is
I planned the
somewhat
first
random, until Gabrick, which is about the halfway point of the run. So I'm going to take out these guards here and stock up on PK-102 ammo. Now, if the alarm goes off earlier, it's not a deal breaker. The strats really do not change. The only thing that really changes is I go to the combat shotgun crate over to my right there, and just to stock up, because that's a very useful weapon for the second half of this level. But it does cost about 4 or 5 seconds.
Damn it!
That usually happens. That's nothing I can do about it. So Gabrick's gonna show up right here, roughly. Yep, there he is. Okay, down he goes. Okay, so I got one shotgun. That should be okay. It's going to be mostly for these guards here after I finish the last, plant the last explosives.
I found the power to the motion sensors. I'm heading over to the bunkers now. That's the last explosive. I'll trigger the timer once I'm on the roof and have disabled their radar.
Copy.
Good. Sometimes that first shotgun misses, and that just can cause all sorts of problems, unless you have 10 shotgun slugs, and then you're fine. But when every bullet counts, it can be a little nerve-wracking. Ah, missed that. That was my bad. I didn't have that set up right. So there's going to be a couple of guards here at the end. We're just going to run right past them and go straight to the finish line. Okay, good. They got rid of the fuel tanks earlier. Alright. Actually, that was a very good level. I mean, the RNG played out about as well as I could have asked for there.
Leon.
Now, this mission has all the interaction skips. There's a ton of them to do because I got to catalog all these missiles and open these doors on top of that, so... So let's see if I can get this to go. Well, got 4 in a row. So those guards there, their setup is kind of random. Main thing is you just want to keep them kind of clustered together. I don't want them running into me, because that just causes problems. And these shotgun guys hit like a brick. It's basically half my armor if they get me at close range. Normally that shotgun guard actually is running along the side of the silo room, but you just stay put for once, which is nice. Ah.
Check your fire. Damaging that missile could set it off.
Nah, that was unfortunate. Just a little too early. So I got 4 more missiles to catalog. Surprisingly in good ammo shape at this point. I'm not doing too good with the interaction skips all of a sudden. See? Oh boy. Dude, do you mind? That's unfortunate.
I've got the last code.
Oh yeah, now I start getting these interaction skips. Thanks, game.
Lift off.
I'm ready.
All it took was getting, you know, hit from behind.
Leon, I found the elevator to the roof. Get ready to dust off.
Gabe, the force is crawling with patrols.
Siphon Filter logic. Don't try and explain it. You get a headache. So this is the second boss fight of the game where I take on a helicopter. And there's a particular setup where this
Leon,
should be a 2-cycle fight. So we're gonna hope for that. Okay. That's good. That was plenty good amount of damage. So now this chopper's going to hover over the arena, and I'm just going to blast it from around the corner. And hopefully before it finishes its strafing, this chopper will be dead. And it is. That's a 2-cycle. Alright, so this, coming up here is the most dangerous skip in the game. It's called Fire Truck Skip. And basically I'm going to run into a particular spot and do a side roll onto a burning truck, and then I'm going to roll through it and do a kind of a damage boost through it and skip about 3/4 of the stage. But the roll has to be exactly right. Nope. Alright, do it try one more, and then I'm just going to play the level normally, because it's not worth getting into a pissing match about this. I thought that was a good roll, but it might have been just a little off. There we go. So yeah, fire truck skip is valuable when you do it right, but it is extremely damaging in a run if you screw it up. Alright, so that's halftime for SF1 at 27:49. It's about 90 seconds off my PB time.
Siphon Filter.
I'd say it's like a 26:20 or something.
One more thing.
Check.
So overall, not too bad. Had some good levels. So the Stronghold Catacombs missions are pretty long, and they're kind of notorious because they're kind of like a maze. But which is true to an extent, but luckily there is no RNG to where
I found the first group of...
the scientists or the test subjects are. Okay, so we got so using the syringe, you can do a kind of interaction skip, and where Gabe was kind of lifting his hand over the guy's head, that's what we call a blessing. That's like a middle ground between the ideal one, which is the second one, and then just being really slow. So again, there's no RNG to where to where the test subjects are. So, which is beneficial, but you just got to be careful with them because you screw any of these objectives up, it's very likely going to cost at least 2 minutes. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to use a gas grenade here on these 3 scientists who are going to be kind of lumped together and get them all out at once. Just got to be careful because you don't want to be too close to that beam because if you accidentally hit that, you're probably dead. And also be very careful around the gas because that's instant death if it gets you. Okay, got the key card. So yeah, so like you don't want to screw that up because that's like a 2.5 minute time loss if that happens. Okay, so have another scientist up ahead here. It's good. Not cool. I didn't quite get him in the exact spot I wanted, but it was a good bounce back on that one, so worked out. Alright, so this... Okay, that scientist doesn't always run. If he does, it just kind of screws up the setup for this next test subject. So I got to deal with the scientist, then him, and then these 2 guards coming up behind me here. And usually got to wait on the stairwell to get the scientist. So not my preferred choice. Okay, so 2 scientists left and 1 test subject left. Got the key card, and now we're going to the library. And there's ideally the guards are going to start shooting at me as I get on this box here, and it's going to have a little bit of guard manip on my part. There we go. So a little neat little trick with this game, and this actually does apply to 2 and 3 as well, is the game can only handle so many guards on screen at one time. It's 4 to 5 depending on the situation. So you can avoid certain guards to basically create situations where guards who normally would have appeared, they despawn. So it's a nice little bonus, and it does come in handy, like that catwalk there. I normally would have had to deal with 2 guards if I had taken out all the guards they wanted me to. Like, we don't got time for that, and it just causes more trouble than it's worth, so I just got rid of them that way. So I just ignored all the guards in the library and just moved onward. So, there'll be a couple guards behind me. Hopefully they don't start shooting by the time I reach the scientist, because he'll run. Okay. So, scientists and test subjects accounted for in this mission. The next mission is more of the same. We're almost to the end, though, of this one. Thought I had that one. Interaction skips are not nearly as meaningful in 2 or 3. So, 1 has a lot of interesting little movement quirks that 2 and 3 don't. 2 and 3 have their own quirks, as will be explained later. Alright, so Stronghold down, so now onto the lower level, which again is a rinse and repeat of what I just did. You know, kill the scientists and save the test subjects.
I'm finding Farcom and W. Right.
Okay, so I'm just gonna basically lure this scientist out and set him up for later, because he'll be running down the stairs. Yep, there he goes. But I'll deal with him after I take care of the scientists and the test subjects in this corner here. I knew it. I knew he'd be. I had a feeling he'd show up. There's a scientist back. Wow, that was good. That scientist is a real pain, because there are a few scientists who are armed with 45s, and like Gordon Freeman, they know how to use them. So you don't want to get into a gunfight with those guys if you can help it. Now, there's a scientist here who spawns by these crates. But he only spawns when you go up or down the stairs. So I'm just gonna trick the game into getting rid of him for me. So that's the last of the test subjects. Still have 6 scientists to account for. I always have trouble with the count on this one, just because it feels like I'm always missing one or something. Okay. Well, Mars, you know, you may have been brought into this world to die in a cloud of gas, but, you know, when you work for bad guys, you know, you don't necessarily get to choose how you go out in this world. Alright, so there's going to be 2 scientists here. Again, I'm going to ignore one and deal with the keycard one first, just because it's a little faster. Gotta take out that guard pretty quick, because he throws grenades otherwise, and because there's a lot of gaseous toxins in there, it would slow me down otherwise. So I'm just gonna avoid taking damage there by just rolling. Alright, so ignore the guard behind me. It's rare, but that scientist that I just took down, he can actually come up from behind, and that usually is a run killer for me, just because you never expect it to happen, and when it does, it just completely throws off your prep. Okay. Okay, just gotta ignore a few more guards, and then on we go to the catacombs, which is everyone's favorite mission. Okay, so Catacombs is essentially broken into 3 phases. There is the opener stealth part, which
Security has been breached. Roma has ordered the
I can't make it go any faster, unlike
All of Romer's underground
Unlike
security
Fagan's
is
bit.
phosphorus activated. You must follow the guard and let him open
in the
cell.
earlier.
If you are seen, you won't be able to get in.
Have an evac standing by. It won't be long.
It makes no difference if I let this cutscene run because the scientist is running on his own clock, so it doesn't have really any adverse effect. So I can just let that scene run through naturally. Okay, but yeah, there's this opening bit here. Then I have to escort Fagin to Leon's cell, and that is by far the most frustrating part of the game because Fagin has, shall we say, particular behaviors that can be very difficult. I can manip some of it, but Fagin is going to be Fagin, and you know, if my execution is not on point, it can make that section go much longer than it needs to. So I'm just going to slip past those guards here. This section isn't too difficult, though. I mean, once you get around that guard I just took out is probably the only danger spot because he seems to be walking on uneven terrain, so the headshot reticle can actually go off at the last second, and that usually means mission over. So yeah, so there's Fagin, and then you escort Leon out of the catacombs. That can be at least manipulated in a very terrible way, but we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a few minutes, so... Okay, just adjust to the camera so I can see the guard here, so I get him to pop up on my radar screen. Gotta make sure not to reload while I'm opening the crate, because you can accidentally soft lock, which has happened to me, so... Not making that mistake. Alright, so here we go. Fagin.
Follow me.
We can get the 2 guards bunched together.
Kill them.
That's a nice quick double. Okay. Oh, I almost ran into him. That like main thing is do not run into Fagin. You know, do whatever possible. Do not shoot from the hip. Okay, so that guard ran away, so that's preferred actually. So now I'm gonna switch to the G18 to take out this guard here. Okay, so I'm actually going to do a safety here. I'm going to pick up this K3G4. It's not really required. I mean, not for me, but it's a nice safety. Okay. Okay, so that's my only checkpoint for the rest of this bit. Should be a guard down below. Oh, this is... Oh boy, I'm in trouble. Okay. Okay, so this will require some slight adjustments on my part, but I should be okay. It's actually... There are no guards with flak jackets in this section, not until I get out of the next clearing, then they start showing up with flak jackets again. But luckily most have them more often than not. Interesting analogy there, OJ Machine. I had never considered Burger King being used as an analogy for Syphon Filter, but
This way.
here we are. Okay, so I'm using the K3G4 here, just so I can get some free flak jackets without having to really worry about it. So again, I'm not really supposed to be shooting from the hip, but under the circumstances, I'm not taking any chances either. Okay, now I should be okay.
That's yourself. You're on your own now.
Okay, so we're gonna make Leon run really fast here by wounding her.
Check your fire.
Okay, the run's been blessed. Leon screamed. Those who watch my channel know exactly what I just did there. Basically, if I just let Leon run, I can avoid most of these guards. I'll take out certain guards here and there just to kind of move things along a little bit, or for spawning purposes. Well, that's not great. Look, there's a couple of guards with flak jackets up ahead, so that should offset. Oh, there's a guard on the So I'm switching to the G18 now. Because most of these guards here I don't really have to worry about. Famous last words, I suppose, but oh, we'll see Fagin in a minute, don't you worry. So let's ignore these guards here at the end, and we are out of here.
There's someone up ahead.
Please.
Well, there he goes. Mara takes care of Fagin for us. So now we're down to the last section of the game. We have 3 warehouse missions. And this first warehouse mission has a fair amount of RNG to it in terms of the guards. Some of these the guard spawns are random, and in some of these cases.
Erickson.
And
Who are you? What do you want?
if you don't get a good draw, there's a decent chance you're going to be killed, because you're really trying to do combat avoidance throughout this. You're also looking for a mix of combat shotgun and PK-102 ammo. Like so.
Check.
If you have to get one over the other, you want PK-102 over the combat shotgun, just because you need it for interaction skips. You cannot do interaction skips with the combat shotgun. Strangely, you can do it with the regular shotgun, but not combat for some reason. So there are 2 ways to play this sequence of missions. You can either get the grenades, or you can take an alternate route and grab an M79. The M79 route does take longer up front, but you can save more time in later missions. But it kinda Valkyrie, the world record holder, and I have kind of experimented a little bit with this, and it's roughly even. M79 is probably a little faster. Gotta pick up the K3G4 though. That's going to be critical down the stretch here. So I just let them take out that guard, so I didn't have to deal with him afterward. So I'm going to throw the grenade there to get these guards to go away, because otherwise they'd be shooting at me while I'm shimmying. So we're going to let the two sides just go after each other and call it a day. So this is a spot where the guards can kill you, might get their own on you. Uh-oh. Okay, so not the preferred route I wanted, but I'll take the safety here. Normally I would have gone left and just come around this way, but since they were shooting at me, I decided to just play it safe. So I'm going to throw a grenade in the corner here. Uh-oh. Oh, phew. Need to see the series come back? Well, I hope that too once, but it's been 15 years. I'm not holding my breath at this stage. I think at this point, if they were to bring it back, it'd be a reboot. Okay, so it's basically a straight shot to the finish here. There are going to be two guards that are going to appear at an intersection, and ideally they're going to just keep running and ignore me. But we'll see. Yep, okay, so they're just running. I'm just going to slip past them. Ignore the guys in blue, and we're out of here. That grenade dodge, well, for me, that's not a big deal, but yeah, that was pretty close. That guard spawn was a little sooner than I had anticipated, and that could have been bad.
Leon, I found shipping manifests for parts. Leon. Right. Okay,
so from this point on, every guard I'm encountering will be wearing a flak jacket, so headshots are paramount. Starting with this guy here. So I'm going to take out these two guards silently because it'll help me set up the next batch of guards. Including a guard I call Bizquick because he carries a Bison 2 submachine gun, or Biz 2, so I call him Bizquick. Okay, there's a shotgun guard. No Bizquick. How very disappointing. Incidentally, there was no RNG on where these viral carrier locations are. It's the same every single time. There he is. Oh, and the Biz 2 is very damaging. It's one of the most powerful guns in the game, so if you get hit, you're in a lot of trouble. Luckily, not too many guards actually carry it, so... Alright, so... Okay, he threw the grenade. Let that grenade roll down the ramp and take out two guards that would have ambushed me otherwise after I planted that viral tag. Okay. So I'm going to use the K3G4 here on these guards up ahead just to kind of smooth the passage for me. Since no guards in this game actually carry the K3G4, I have to be pretty sparing with my ammo, but luckily I've got specific places where I use this, so it's not too bad. Okay, so...
Gabe, that's warehouse 76. The entrance to the silo is in there somewhere.
Okay, so warehouse 76, pretty short mission. There are 2 fire skips in this level.
Leon, ask me.
Let's say about 30 seconds all told. Maybe a little more. First one here. That was a really good roll, too. I only lost about 60% of my armor. There's actually a 3rd fire skip, but your first roll has to be pretty much perfect to execute the 2nd one, or that 3rd skip. So I didn't really get it perfectly, so I'm just gonna... One guard down here. Set up for the 2nd fire skip. So I'm gonna roll through this little gap here as soon as the elevator arrives. There is a faster way to do this elevator bit, but it's soft lock
Still
risk.
no contact. We're finally starting to attract some attention, though. The Kazakhstan government is mobilizing ground forces and is asking Russia for help. They think a civil war is breaking out here.
I'll hurry.
Okay, so now we're down to the last 3 missions in SF1.
Watch out down there, Gabe.
Checked.
Didn't get the didn't get the interaction skip. So I'm just gonna ignore these 3 guards here and just carry on. So I'm gonna climb up and avoid having to stop and wait for this interaction to continue. It's called the Mara skip. It's pretty easy. Just run along the side and then climb up before it triggers the notification. Saves about 5 seconds. So the Biz 2 is gonna get a good workout here. Because this gun is so powerful, I can just spam body shots on these guards. Alright, so I'm going to do a little bit of a sequence break here where I'm going to throw, actually there's a switch I have to activate. Now if you do it by hand, it's going to trigger a bunch of guards to appear when I come back here. If I shoot it or throw a grenade, it will not allow the guards to appear. So this saves about 30 seconds and a lot of aggravation, because this, if you get into a gunfight with these guys, it's really a pain to deal with. That interaction skip I always have trouble with for some reason. That was a nice triple there. So there's 3 more guards up ahead at the end of this corridor. I'm going to slip past them without getting into a gunfight. And unfortunately, I took quite a bit of damage in the process, so... It's alright. So there's gonna be 3 more guards here at the end. 2 are gonna be kind of clumped together. Yep.
I've made it into the power room. I'm going to try to overload the generator.
Be careful. I'm not sure what that will do to the power room. The whole place could blow.
I don't have much choice.
This basically shuts off the lasers that have been impeding my progress. Unfortunately, it blows up the room and it creates a blackout, which is the next mission. I'm normally supposed to use a night vision rifle for this mission, but this mission's pretty straightforward, so I'm not going to need it.
Gabe, are you there?
Check.
So I'm going to do a little roll here, and okay, perfect. Saves you from having to, play games with, shimmying down. That's not really the gun I wanted to use. I actually wanted to use the K3G4 there, but that's fine. Alright, so... Some 2 guards up ahead here. Now there is a it's not a sequence break, but there is a way to play the end of the level really fast, but it's extremely dangerous. It's what we call the YOLO run, where basically there's 7 guards at the end here. And if you play it right and you use your K3G4 correctly and you get a couple of good bounces with the guards, you can do it pretty quick, but you're going to take a ton of damage and you run the risk of dying. So that's why we call it YOLO. Especially since if you don't get it correct, that's a 90-second time loss. Because I have to go all the way back to that checkpoint near the beginning. So I'm just going to play this fairly safe. It's about a 20-second difference. Because at my best, I can do this mission in about 150. That was not my best setup, but okay. Sometimes there's a guard that appears in that side corridor. Another reason to play it safe.
Leon, I found the elevator down to the silo. See?
So I'm looking at about a 105.30 for this. About sub 106, which is not bad.
Leon? Right.
I definitely played some spots kind of passively. Okay, so sometimes that grenade the guy throws goes down and actually takes out one of the 2 guards down below. It did not in this case, but that saves only about 2 seconds. So there's another skip here called the silo elevator skip, where as soon as this cutscene ends, I'm going to run into the elevator to avoid the missile launch, but then I'm going to roll back out and skip a cutscene. Like that. And that saves about 15 seconds. It's not that difficult, but you have to have a good head start. That's the key. So now we're near the end here. I'm going to go into the silo control room and pick up a key card from the scientist. There's a particular guard who's a bit of a problem. We had Biz quick earlier, now we have Biz kill because he has wrecked a few of my runs over the years. Okay, so that scientist spawned early. Spawned actually kind of late, actually. Okay, I'm not gonna do this. Normally I would have gone for the switch, but that guy didn't die right away, so like not gonna take the chance. So normally I'd have just gone down this ramp here without dealing with Bizkill, but under the circumstances. Yep, good old Bizkill. At least this time I turned the tables on him. Okay, so gas grenades are the only thing that actually hurt Romer, because he's wearing full body armor. So I'm gonna get him in the spawn point. So time for the first game
Leon, I made it.
is
I'm
as
triggering
soon
the
as the
missile's
cutscene triggers.
Logan!
Okay, so pardon me for a second. I've got to just reset my emulator. Your screen is fine. Okay, so 105.50, that's not bad.
989 studio.
Okay, so we're on to Syphon Filter 2, which is by far the most difficult game in the trilogy, and certainly the most frustrating. So basically, the story is after Siphon Filter 1, Gabe Logan
Teresa, I made it.
realizes the agency he's worked for has betrayed him all this time and is actually trying to use Siphon Filter for their own nefarious purposes, and now he's basically on the run from his own former employers.
Sir,
And
Lieutenant Chance is this way.
Leon has
Follow
been
me.
infected, and they're trying to. Gabe is trying to save her when he is attacked by the agency, and they blow his plane out of the sky.
You went into that cave.
So this opening mission here is pretty long. It's the longest in the opener in the trilogy. It's about 6.5 to 7 minutes, and there's nothing really terribly difficult about it. The end can be a little dicey, but in general, this is also a good intro mission.
Eshelman, have you seen Chance?
Yes.
So we got to meet Chance for the transponder, and like the original, you can do the next couple of objectives
Chance, I've been looking all over.
in any order you wish, but for the sake of speed running, we're gonna go for the transponder and then the C4 after this.
Sir, behind you! I'll get him!
David, get out of here now!
Eshelman, answer me!
We've got incoming.
That's good. I always like it when I can get that run around the corner.
Grenade!
So, 2 has basically killed the interaction, has killed the ability to do the climb skip, which is unfortunate. So it would have saved about 3 minutes in this run.
Archer says we'll have the place locked down within an hour, but they're putting up a fight.
It's Logan! Kill him!
The one thing to note, one of the big differences between 1 and 2 is in 2 the guards are much more aggressive and will kill you a lot faster than they do in 1. Even early in the game, like, they don't mess around.
Teresa,
And-
we've got a lock on the
This has been augmented by certain guards being able to headshot you just as you can headshot them. And that can create some tension in particular spots in this run, as you will see throughout. Disc 1 has it in like a couple of spots, but it's usually not too bad. Disc 2 is where it'll get you. You're right on both counts, Stella. They are larger. There is more scope and scale to these, particularly in 2, I think. And they are longer. I didn't really put this as part of my requirement, but I clocked the 3 Syphon Filter games. Mentally, when I did 410, I had it this way: 110 for the original, 140 for 2, and 120 for 3, which gets you 410. My PB in 2 is about a 124, but there are a lot of places where this game can go sideways, particularly in Disc 2. PS1's 3D rock compared to N64 3D? Well, the different kinds of 3D. You know, both have their high points.
Found Kowalski yet? Did you get the
There's
C4?
a different way of doing it, and both were very valid. This is definitely one of the better utilizations of 3D, I think, for the PS1.
Hold up.
What is it?
So the one thing 2 does give you more of our checkpoints compared to 1. Still definitely some spots where you know, getting killed in a certain spot is pretty bad, but it's not quite as punishing overall compared to 1.
Give me a sit rep.
We've got 2.
So this is where the headshot comes into play with the enemy guards. They're armed with H11 machine guns.
I'm being flanked! Pull back!
Oops. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Okay.
Clear!
Kick ass!
Stand your ground. I'm gonna scout ahead.
We've got trouble! Incoming from all sides!
So there's 6 guards here at the end, all of them with flak jackets, all of them are basically focused on the CBDC agents, and you gotta protect them. And how they appear is random. It looks like it's gonna be 4 on top, 2 on the bottom. That's pretty good.
Ramirez, you stay here with Fergus.
And that was a good sequence by me. I sometimes have trouble with this, particularly the guards down below, because, you know, until you actually hit them, they will keep running. Okay, so for the first time in this series, we get to play as
We're
Leon,
working on it now.
who is being held prisoner at an Air Force base. So SF2 has by far the most stealth in the trilogy, with about a third of the game.
Doctor.
Oops, let's just back up just a bit. Yeah, about a
Yes.
third of this game
Are
is
you
stealth.
finished with him?
I've given him the injection. It'll take a moment for it to work.
Morgan wants you to come check Fagan. I think the last of the serum bags are filled.
Let me go check on Leon Singh first.
No. Morgan said to come now.
So, now there are some sequence breaks in this that I don't really do that others do. That I haven't really learned them. It saves about a minute overall, but they are pretty dicey because you're doing a lot of camera manip, and if you screw it up, you're in a lot of trouble. So, but even playing it fairly safe like I am, this takes about 2.5. This mission takes about 3:10.
I've relieved the guard. We won't be disturbed.
But there are more sequence breaks overall in SF2 compared to 1, and I'll definitely be exploiting a few of them throughout.
Buzz me out, Carter. Where are you going? I gotta get some air. Those government guys are giving me the creeps. Something's going on in there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They just brought up a couple of body bags, and I got a call from the CO saying the entire base has been quarantined and locked down tight.
Well, that stuff about quarantine sure hits different now, doesn't it?
I'll be back up in a few.
So, you know,
Gabe?
finally get
Are you there?
a hand taser, not an air taser. There will be no air tasering, but there will be a decent amount of hand tasering in this game. The air taser does exist in this game, but it only appears in a few missions. And unfortunately, there is no situation where it actually is useful. There used to be one, but we found another sequence break that nullified it in the Agency Biolabs mission. So I'm just playing a little safe with that guard there, because if you actually tase too early, the guards over here will actually see it, and that's mission over.
Got it.
Okay. And Washington says that is basically if you finish this mission under, I think, 4 minutes, you unlock a bonus for multiplayer. Because there is a 100% category, and you have to play it on hard mode for it to be 100%, incidentally.
Get moving. I can hold him. Hey,
So
that's
this is
not part of the plan. I'm coming down.
So this is not exactly the way it's supposed to be done, but it's perfectly valid. On hard mode, you'd have to do this the intended way because you'll get cut to pieces. Actually, all 3 games are being played on PAL. It just doesn't look as obvious because armor is spelled correctly in SF1. Or armor is spelled American in the American spelling in 1. It's the British in 2 and 3.
Gabe, behind you!
So, but yes, PAL is faster than NTSC, all 3 games. Because the game runs at a slightly different frame rate. It runs at 50 H. Short version is NTSC runs at 60 HC. PAL runs at 50.
Damn, it's cold.
So you save all told about 2.5 minutes.
Snipers, now!
Damn it. Shit.
So there's going to be a danger getting headshotted here by this guard from the cliffs. And we're through. So that's probably not the most satisfying explanation, but 50 HC for PAL versus 60 for NTSC makes this game faster. And it's actually somewhat common, I think, for PlayStation compared to other...
Damn, there's 2 AP.
Don't quote me.
There's no escape, Logan. Come out with your hands in the air.
That's correct, Estella. It compensates at 50 HC.
Are you crazy? Get back here.
You got a better idea? No matter what happens.
Don't quote me on this, but I think
take out that power.
the Crash Bandicoot games are the same way. 50 HC is faster. PAL is faster because of that. Yeah.
Power's out, Gabe. It worked.
Okay, so the rest of this is pretty straightforward. Just gonna mostly ignore the guards here, and I'm gonna do a little bit of ammo collection, but otherwise, if I can avoid these guards, I will.
One down, there's Logan.
And they just ignored me. Nice. So this next mission is a hybrid of stealth and action. The first three quarters of this mission is stealth. We gotta defuse these bombs without being seen.
When the charges are set, I'm gonna...
We gotta take out the agency commander first. I'm gonna take out a bomb while I'm at. I'm gonna defuse a bomb first. I get a good sit rep here. Good sit rep. So there's a truck here that has a sniper rifle and a gas grenade. Let these guards just get just far enough out. Maybe Mars would enjoy the sit rep. Now the sniper rifle can actually go through guards, which is pretty useful here. I'm gonna just toss the gas grenade. Okay, so now I can take care of the 3 remaining bombs without having to worry too much. Like, and incidentally, no, you cannot take out all 4 bombs in 2 minutes. It's impossible. And I'm all about giving you those little moments of happiness, Mars. That's what we do here. I think somebody would have heard all this screaming, but I guess not. Okay, last guard I have to deal with. Ooh, right in the throat. Ouch.
Blow the bridge now!
We can't! The charges are dead!
Why don't you just kill us now, you shut up? Is that all you got? I said shut up!
It definitely is Nemesis. It is very easy to fall off by mistake, and definitely done at a time or 3. You can do that. You can also do that trick with this bit with the sniper rifle, but
Where's Ferguson?
M16 will cover that pretty carefully. Now this, you can throw grenades on these 3 trucks, but it's a bit of tricky timing. So
Get 'em!
I'm just going to use the M16 on these guys. It's a little slower, but it's definitely, for me, safer. That was a nice bounce back. Didn't expect him to. Okay, so that's it for this mission. So back to Leon. This is one of the weirdest, definitely the weirdest sequence break in the entire trilogy. Well, it's not really a sequence break, it's more of a glitch. But it's going to allow me to sprint through the second half of this mission.
Climb it over to admin and drive the truck for them.
Who are these guys, Sarge? What the hell are they up to?
Don't ask questions, Airman. Just move.
Yes, sir.
So again, this is all stealth, but there will be a few cases where I can actually use lethal force against agency operatives.
What took you so long? I've been waiting here for...
Teresa, I've got something.
This is still definitely a case where it's about using your head and you know, getting around basically hostile territory without being seen. So this guard here sometimes will hear me for whatever reason, so I just kind of hug the wall there just to avoid, just to stay outside the radar zone.
Did you hear that? Hear what? I thought I heard something. I'll go check it out.
I want my chopper cleared for immediate takeoff. Put the second chopper on standby. I'll be there shortly.
The rest of the cargo looks secure. Everything from Farcom West is now accounted for.
Sir, the F-22 is refueled and ready for takeoff, but the payload you are waiting for hasn't gotten here yet. Your pilot seemed anxious that I tell you.
That'll be all, Airman. Get on the radio and ask Holman what the delay is. We can't afford any more screw-ups.
So yeah, so Morgan and Falcon, I'm going to let this scene play a little longer.
I've confirmed it with Gabe.
Because just so that they can't, because if I immediately ended the cutscene and started moving, decent chance they hear me. So it's good to just let that ride for a couple of seconds. So here comes the sequence break after I do these pair of objectives on the jet.
No, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Yes, I have the transport's location, and the tower has cleared me. I'm still waiting for the...
Teresa, radio Gabe and...
Okay, so basically, what I'm going to do here is let this guard walk past, and then I'm going to position myself here. I'm going to watch the dot on the radar screen. When it partially goes off, you know, then I can move, and it's going to trick the game, and I can basically run through this mission, you know, freely without having to worry too much about guards tripping the alarms. So, but it has to be at a certain point. Okay, so it's like it's 4 downward movements once he reaches the far side of the screen, and now you're going to see guards doing some very peculiar behavior. It is used exactly once in the trilogy run in the original Syphon Filter to stun Mara in the second Farcom Museum mission.
What's the holdup on that F-22 pay?
But otherwise, no, the air taser is a non-factor.
I could do without the escort, Airman.
Sir, sorry, sir.
You can trip the alarm here if you get too close to Holman, and you know, so I let him give him a bit of a wide berth there. So yeah, this little sequence break here, or this little glitch, saves about 1.5 minutes all told. Otherwise, if you played this normally, this mission takes about 8 minutes. This knocks it to about 6.5.
No, sir. Agent Holman has not checked in yet. The F-22...
All right.
Okay, Leon went through the floor. Excellent. Has no bearing on anything. It's just funny to see.
All right, I'm through waiting.
Okay, gonna take out this guy. Shoot Falcon. And that's it.
Teresa, I've got a ride and...
So back to Gabe for the final 3 missions of Disc 1. These missions...
Chance, I've been looking all over.
I don't know why the audio glitches out on this bit, but it's kind of funny. It's like Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of stuff.
Teresa, I've got a lock on the transport's location and I'm heading down the mountain.
So, now these missions are pretty famous because they were, yeah, these levels were in the SF2 demo, so they are quite memorable. Yeah. So this is the only really dangerous spot of the mission where I'm going to ignore these 2 guards and just try and get past them without taking too much damage. I lost about 3/4 of my armor. That's okay. There aren't a lot of there's only like 1 flak jacket I can pick up in this mission. That's later on, but it's not... I believe it was OPM. We actually played this mission on hard mode. A lot of my strats become very different. Just because I have to play it much safer with these guards. As I'm jumping from car to car, and yeah, it's just a real pain to deal with. Here it's pretty straightforward, but on hard mode it definitely is a much harder level. It takes about another extra 30 to 40 seconds to finish. Kind of played it safe there just because those 2 guys were like right on top of me. Okay, so the train gets blown in half after this. So you have now you have 8 minutes to get through this next mission to get to the end of the train so Leon can save us. So the big thing with this level is there are 3 chain jumps where Gabe is going to run from platform to platform without missing, hopefully. And he missed. It's unfortunate. So I'm going to try for better luck on jumps 2 and 3. Missing one costs about 15 seconds. Jesus, die already. Alright, so car number 2, let's try this again. Alright, that's how it should look. These guards here, for some reason, have an extreme amount of health. Like, it's amazing how much damage they'll take from body shots. Like, you have to empty half of a magazine to get rid of these guys. Okay, this last chain jump. Okay, 2 for 3. I'm usually 2 for 3 on the jumps. Usually it's the second or the third one I miss, not the first. Okay. Last guard up here, and then we're out of here.
Leon, I've made it to the engine, but this train isn't going to stop in time. Time for that backup plan.
And incidentally, it's playing this mission on hard mode, it's 4 minutes, not 8. And because you have to adjust a few strats, so you're probably getting there with about a minute to spare, if not less. Alright, so the last mission at Disc 1, this is a pretty straightforward mission. It basically is a double loop in terms of the route. It's basically a double loop in terms of the route.
Hey, look up there.
Gonna go to the crate with the data discs, and then gonna chase Archer, who has stolen the data discs and is trying to flee on his chopper. So a lot of guards I can just ignore here. There's only 2 guards. After this guard up ahead is the last one to be taken out until I get to Archer. Okay, he's down. Alternate strat is you can throw grenades there using the target button. But I prefer. I've got a pretty good consistent setup with the M16, so I prefer that.
Looking. Take him out. Now.
Normally, you'd go behind the tail and grab a M79 and take out these guards who are going to try and headshot me, but no, we'll just roll past them.
South of your position. Move in now.
Same with these guys here. Normally, you'd use the M79 to get rid of them, but no, we'll just keep running. And the snipers as well.
Get some snipers on that south ridge.
So the only tricky part here is taking out Archer. You gotta get him really with a headshot. It's the only way it's gonna work. But then 16's a little harder. Not a perfect run on that, but worked out. Okay, so stand by. Okay, so, oops. Okay, here we go.
We were right.
Intruder alert!
Well, you can, Nemesis. You can spam through jackets. It just doesn't really...
Logan's in the building. Get more
The guards with flak jackets stacked on top of each other isn't quite as prevalent as it is in 1. So the little trick there with that opening bit is if you just keep running, do not roll, do not do anything, just keep running. They won't hit you. So it'll save you about 40 seconds. So this mission is a mix of action and stealth. You can be as loud as you want with the agency guards, but with the army guys you cannot be seen and you cannot kill them. That's what the crossbow is for. But thanks for the best of luck. Appreciate it. So 5 crossbow shots might not seem like a lot, but it's more than enough. And this is actually the only guard you absolutely have to use the crossbow on. You can actually taser your way through the rest of them, but we're not going to do that. We're going to use 4 of the 5.
Snyder hasn't reported in. Let's check it out. Damn, this is bad. Call command and tell him we have an intruder.
Too much interference in here. I'll head back and put in the call.
I'll stay here and look around.
I'm going to play it pretty safe here because I screwed this mission up just about every which way you could yesterday in my practice, so... Yeah.
Hey, come here and take a look at this.
Geez, hot. Is this last month's issue?
Yup. I don't think anyone will miss this, do you?
So we're just gonna slip past these 2 guards here without taking out either of them. And we're gonna use my second crossbow shot on this guard. It's gonna be at a bit of an awkward angle. Thought Metal Gear guards were bad, but yeah, I said that yesterday. Like, yeah, Metal Gear guards are laughing at these guys in their peripheral vision.
Logan just went.
Gabe, come in. I've interest.
It's like this is like one of the only cases where the interaction skip actually comes back into play. Otherwise, it's largely forgotten in this game, but that's one case where it actually does work. Okay, that's not usually what the guard pattern I get. Usually stationary. Luckily it worked itself out, but ish.
Leon, I'm planning the vehicle.
So I'm going to use kind of a cutscene skip here. I'm going to throw a grenade into this hole where these 2 guards are. Okay.
Subject.
Alright, so... there are going to be some guards throwing grenades at you. You don't have to stop, though. Just keep running through and they won't get you. They won't hit you. That was a little too far away. Luckily that wasn't the case. And little tip, if you try and actually headshot these guys with the crossbow, that will kill them, so that's an instant mission fail. So, yeah, sorry. Just gonna ignore that guard there. So toward the end here, I'm gonna use my 4th and final crossbow shot in this mission.
I can't see a damn thing.
Command says the power went out.
The way I set that up, I might have been better off just using the taser. Oh well. Now I'm gonna use a grenade here to basically do a spawn point trick.
Logan.
Another sort of interruption that basically takes out 3 guards at once and saves me from getting into a gunfight. So I think all 3 of them have blackjack. That's on top of everything else. Gotta be careful with these jumps around the Stonehenge exhibit because it's very easy to make a mistake and go right off the edge.
Hey, boss.
What are you doing here?
So this is really, in a speedrun's case, you know, our first look at Teresa, who is the action hero we all need.
Gabe?
So this is kind of a variation on the park mission from SF1 where I'm protecting Teresa, she's defusing these bombs, and the guard patterns are very consistent.
Thought you were faster than that, Logan.
Proto train his spokes along. Get him off me!
So, just gonna take out 3 guards here. I'm gonna hang on this box here, because what will happen is the cutscene will end. Gabe should be by Teresa, but he's gonna still be here, and the game's not is gonna pick up on that.
Oh, look. Let's head back. I don't think there's any more armed bombs in the chain. If you see Morgan...
Yes, Mars showing off my, you know, Teresa emoji, which I hope will give some plenty of play later in this game. So this bomb here is the most dangerous, just because there are 4 guards. The first 2 are blackjack. That's so it's surprisingly easy to miss.
Can you speed it up a little?
Oh, you didn't want me to go slow. There. Gabe, we gotta stop Morgan before he... I've got him in here! Hurry!
So doing it this way saved about 5 seconds right there.
Slippery.
Keep moving.
He's primed another one.
Okay, so this is the last bomb. This is really easy. There's really only 2 guards I have to worry about. And then I'm gonna basically be in a game of chicken with Morgan. Who is armed with a dead man switch. So basically I can't kill him until the final bomb is defused.
Gabe, I can tell from the solenoid this is the last bomb.
So this is basically 60 seconds of me running around.
You can't kill me, Logan. This place is...
The trick here is just basically watch the radar dotting. Just make sure you're dead opposite from him, whenever possible.
You know, it's not too late, Logan.
While Morgan monologues.
The agency can still use you, and don't forget we're Leon's only hope for a cure. Do you have any idea what Siphon Filter is going to do to her, Logan? I've seen what it does to people. Soon she'll look like a walking corpse. Trust me, it's going to be a slow, painful death.
Now there are two ways to take out Morgan. Use the M16. Use the M16 or use the crossbow. Crossbow's a one-hit kill, but if you miss, you're basically screwed. So, so I prefer the M16. And he'll go one of two ways, left or right. Left is definitely more common.
Gabe.
And he swung left. See? Easy. So say goodbye to Gabe for a little while. The next 6 missions are all Leon. And the first one has a banger of a soundtrack.
Gabe?
Yeah, it is very easy, and it went wrong yesterday twice, I believe. So, you know. More damage than I would have liked, but okay. So basically, Leon's old friend Gregorov, who's with the SVR, has the other half of the Siphon Filter discs from Fagin, and Leon tries to go retrieve them, but she doesn't know that he apparently is in league with Mara. Arama. But then Mara double crosses Gregorov, and leading to all of this. It's really kind of complicated, and their explanation really, if you think about it, makes no sense. But it is definitely a plot, and the kind that really doesn't stand up to very close scrutiny, I'm afraid, but
Выходите по одному, держите оружие над головой. Здание окружено. Все выходы. Огонь!
Нам нужно валить отсюда.
well, luckily he had a flak jacket, so even if I took damage, I would have gotten it back. And I'll get that back too. Oh, it's trigger warning if you got epilepsy. This is a little much. Sorry. I forget about this, but luckily it only lasts about 10 seconds. Normally there's a guard here you're supposed to take out, but we're just going to skip that. And unfortunately I took damage from the shotgun guard on the way out, so you have to pick up a flak jacket to offset that.
Gregorov!
So basically Gregorov's on the run from Russian police and his own militia. So Leon's got to try and stop him, but Gregorov is being strangely hostile and is causing all this chaos. So normally you're actually supposed to go left and go all the way to a spot where some guards show up, some Russian police show up where you can't kill them. So, but we're just going to take the tear gas launcher now and save ourselves some trouble. Now, the tear gas launcher, there's an ammo count thing I'm going to do here where I'm going to use only 2 of the 5 cartridges on these guards. And I'm going to save the other 3 for the next mission. Okay, so that takes care of those 3. Okay, so... Okay, so now the introduction to everybody's favorite character in this game. A character beloved and hated by everybody. I am, of course, referring to Gregbot. Why do we call him Gregbot? Because his ability to headshot you is really uncanny and really irritating. You can actually run between the cars there, but that's really dangerous. And again, you screw it up, you're dead. Okay, so I'm going to switch the shotgun here to take out these M79 guys on the roof. Oh, Siphon 3 is coming, don't worry. Okay, so this is the Gregbot bit. Basically, I'm gonna have to weave through around 4 cars here while avoiding getting headshotted by this guy. That's 1. Okay. Okay, so basically I'm gonna push myself forward to the 3rd car and... Okay, good. Basically, when you reach a certain point on the blue car, oncoming traffic will start appearing, and that will disrupt his aim, and you really need it. Alright, so that went clean. That can easily go badly, and has for me repeatedly over the years. So I'm glad that went well. So I'm going to use a tear gas cartridge on these guys here. So this is like Gregbot Part 2. Basically, he's going to keep trying to shoot me down. Ah! Yeah. He does that. I mean, it's not a lot I can do. So, take 2. Okay.
Curse you, woman! Stop hounding me!
Alright, well... Actually, my first death in the run. Well, 2 if you count me resetting on for fire truck skip, but like first death. So not bad considering that I'm just over the halfway point of this run. Jesus, you should have been dead like 5 seconds ago. So this is going to make this section a little tricky. I have a pretty consistent setup, though. I should be okay, but ugh, it's not what I wanted to see. So I get for this is me jinxing myself.
Short!
Okay, that's fine. The main thing is to get those two guards to swing to the left so that they can't actually hit me. Now this next bit here, there is a faster way to do this part where basically you're bonsaiing your way around the snipers. For the sake of my sanity, we're not going to do that. I'm going to take the slow way through this. But it still, which still carries a bit of risk because these guys will headshot me. So I'm going to take out 3 guards here. Okay, there's 1. 2. Use the Fizz on the 3rd guard. Okay, so those 2, I'm going to use the tear gas cartridges on these guards here on the bridge. Oops, that's not good.
Она лезет под мост! Не упусти ее!
Alright. So, not a great level, but we'll make do. Alright, so let's see. Still a decent clip so far for this run.
Stop hiding and face me!
Gabe, I cornered Greg.
So basically, you gotta shoot out these 4 lights to basically get pitch blackness, then you gotta tase Gregor off.
Damn you!
And there it is. That's the end of the mission.
Leon.
So then we find out that the Gregorov we've been chasing is an imposter and that the real Gregorov is about to be executed in a Siberian gulag. Because that totally makes sense. And this prison is a women's prison, but they're using this to kill him.
Мишка, ты что, опять пьяный? Хотя бы мне мог бутылку дать.
So yeah, so Gregbot has been taken care of.
Пожалуйста, перестань.
Now, as it was before, you have 5 crossbow shots, and I'll be using all 5 of them in this case. But strangely, the crossbow does not carry over to the next mission.
Stay here. Everything's going to be all right.
I don't know why, but it doesn't. It really would come in handy in a few places. There's actually a special unlockable if you go through this mission without using the crossbow at all. That's the tricky. That guard is the trickiest because basically you're shooting him from around a wide corner, but he'll see you just as easily as you see him. Okay, so basically you gotta wait for about 20 seconds.
Какой позор!
Почему мне всегда достается самая хреновая работа?
The shimmy skip here actually really saves a lot of time here. It saves about 10 seconds. So otherwise I'd be doing this really slow and it'd be a really laborious bit. Just gotta be really careful because if you do not want to screw up here.
Иди сюда, шлюха!
Because it's about a 2.5 minute, it's a 2-minute time loss if you screw this up. So yeah, I definitely played that pretty conservatively.
А я тут завяз, покуда конфликт не отбросил.
Или крыша не поедет, а?
Да.
Gabe, this used.
One nice thing about this mission is you actually can get a few minutes to take a breather for some of this, because you're at the whims of the AI, so...
Рада тебя опять видеть, Гриша. Хорошо выглядишь.
Я удивляюсь, у тебя еще осталось чувство юмора, Катюш.
Купишь мне сигарет?
Ха-ха! Тогда будешь должна мне 6 пачек. Ну, до завтра.
So yeah, so basically they decided to execute him now rather than in an hour.
Katya! Hey, Katya! Где ты?
Now there's a way to do like a quick snap around the corner here and do a quick crossbow shot on this guy, but if you miss, he'll basically spot you and it's mission over. So for the sake of everyone's time, I'm just going to do this safe. It's worth noting that in hard mode, this section is not 90 seconds, it's 60. So that clock starts ticking down pretty fast. So basically, Leon cuts the power to the entire prison, but it starts a riot because now the prisoners are free and, well, you know, you've all seen what a prison riot looks like. I am assuming some people in here have seen the movie Natural Born Killers. So this opening bit here is basically got to get to Gregor off, which isn't too hard, but there are some you just gotta be careful because some of the guards are in tight spots, so you gotta.
Gabe, there's.
Well, honestly, with the username Natural Born Speedrunner, I'd have been surprised if you hadn't seen the movie.
Leon, behind you!
Yuri.
So Gregorov, unfortunately, cannot help us right now. He's too weak from getting beat up or something.
Clear! Yuri, move up!
This guy with the 45 actually can headshot you. There's a decent amount of headshot guards in this level.
A lot of action on the other side of that.
Oops.
Snipers! Pull back!
So, you know, Gregorov finds the smoke grenades, so we're just gonna use that to get us through this opening part.
Why did you stop?
A good shot. Now we go.
So normally I'm supposed to follow him to set up a scene where we gotta non-lethally. It's a waste of ammo. Try not to think about all those prisoners dying like that. It's actually pretty depressing if you think about it.
Very good. We make it out of here yet.
Then we come to my favorite room in the game, the Four Horsemen room. So named because there are 4 guards in here, all with flak jackets, and they just run around and cause all sorts of trouble for you. And that was actually a pretty clean run.
Is the area clear?
So now Gregoroff is good enough to fight.
Here.
But we're still going to be trying to avoid combat in this next room here as best we can and just avoid a gunfight.
Die, you bastard! Behind us!
So, otherwise, you have to be dealing with spawning guards, a few of whom can kick at you with headshots.
All right. We've got to make...
So I'm not going to... on hard mode, you have to do this in stealth, otherwise you're never going to make it. Or Gregoroff's never going to make it. Here, we can do it a little more casually. I will help myself to PK-102 ammo.
Gregoroff, move!
For this final bit. Basically, I'm going to try and get ahead of Gregoroff once we get off the elevator and take care of the 2 guards on the watchtower. Unfortunately, got ahead of me. Damn. It's not the way I wanted that to go. Okay, well. That worked out. I was a little worried.
Game.
Okay, that's the last mission with Leon. She is now too weak from Siphon Filter to continue on, and so Gabe decides to cut a deal to save Leon by...
Teresa, I'm clear.
To save Leon, who's going to basically let himself be captured by the agency, who are going to try and leverage him to find out where Leon is so they can extract Siphon Filter from her body. So this mission again is stealth, but there are a couple of big sequence breaks here. One of which saves about 2 minutes all told. It's a huge help. They're essentially going to be skipping like 2 or 3 sections at this level as a result. So Gabe has no weapons and all of that, so you got to be kind of careful on this opening bit here. You get a knife, and then you'll get some more weapons shortly afterward. But for now, you know, Gabe is not armed at all.
I'm patching you into the computer labs.
Okay, so now we gotta find Gershon, so we're on our way to finding him, but first we need to get some weapons, starting with this knife.
Decontamination sequence in progress.
We have an intruder losing the facility.
Well, that was just really dumb of me, wasn't it? Okay, well, he's entitled to... oh, really? I'm gonna get the knife back? Shit. Oh, well. I suppose I was due for one of those kinds of mistakes today. That's what I get for being too far away.
Decontamination sequence in progress.
There we go. So, no, the way this is normally supposed to go, we find out Ramirez is one of two survivors from the opening
You're
bit.
Logan!
Please, don't hurt me. I just work here. I'm not responsible. I don't make policy.
I didn't get the wedding proposal bit,
I do.
but we'll still have some fun with it.
Gabe, I think I found a way to Gershon.
So I'm setting up a long sequence break here by taking out only one of the two guards here and then skipping the cutscene. So this will eventually tie back when I get to Gershon. So it's kind of it's a long gambit basically, but it pays off enormously.
I found the synthesis lab. Leon's vaccine.
So now I gotta be a little careful here with this next part because there's gonna be a guard and a vent. I gotta be just far. Okay.
That's the vent.
So I want to be caught by that security camera. So luckily it worked out. So now I get to go to Gershon.
What the hell? Who are you?
Don't touch the phone.
So basically I'm going to take out this guard and then I'm going to go back into the room where I should have taken out that one.
Gabe, you've got to stop him.
Oh shoot. All right, let's do that again. All right, so take two. So if I got him with a body shot, I wouldn't have worried. Should be okay. It's just enough time to make this work. Okay.
Gabe, Gershon got away.
Alright, so we're good. Basically, I needed to get that checkpoint before the mission failed. So now, instead of escorting Gershon to that computer lab and all of that, we can just carry on as normal. So basically, did two cuts for the price of one.
Intruder alert!
Main thing here is do not free shoot. If you accidentally shoot a computer, mission's over. So Ramirez and Chance survived.
Gabe! Thank God.
I know you all forgot about Chance. We haven't seen him in about an hour after all.
You can see signs of the virus at...
Damn it.
Oh. Other guy who learned the combat rule. Doesn't really cost any time to... There we go.
Teresa, they're experimenting.
So not a great level, this one, but, it's alright. Different franchise. Fish and Mail, different franchise, sorry.
The virus started, of course, as a potent...
Who are you?
All right, so that's the end of that. So now we get on to
Dr. Weisinger, how good to see you
one of
again.
the most fun missions I think in the game. It also can be one of the most stress-inducing. We basically shoot our way out of here, and all the guards are wearing full body
I was
armor.
not going.
All right, Jack, wife Jack, get your memes ready.
These guys are wearing full armor. I can't hit them.
That's bad.
The agency has a lot of body.
Cameo appearance by Gurdu in his extra crispy form. So I'm gonna finally get a weapon that can actually hurt these guys in the M79, but we're gonna use it again rather sparingly because it's gonna be useful on the next mission as well. That guard is dangerous. If I accidentally run into him, it's basically over. I can afford to take some damage. Not a lot, but just enough to, you know, make it worthwhile.
Teresa, I've reached a dead end here.
So, if you're not properly aimed at the center, you can go into the blades by mistake. So, you know, it's always good to just take an extra second just to make sure, even though I usually strafe toward the end just to make sure I'm generally centrally aimed. And unfortunately, there's Ramirez.
Ramirez. Damn it, Chance.
So now we're going to use the M79 here to clear out these guards. I have 3 grenades left over. Ideally, if you get 4, you're in pretty good shape.
Gabe, I've overridden the elevators.
It's not a deal breaker. Because I know exactly where to use those 3 grenades. So we're out of the agency labs, and Stevens, who's the head of the agency, has sent basically
Teresa?
all remaining agents to try and stop Gabe. Not for Bubsy 3D, this game would exist. Interesting, yeah, technically that's true.
Gabe, I'm picking up SWAT radio.
Okay, so there's gonna be 2 guards up ahead here, one's with flak jacket.
Hang in there, Ross! I'm on my way!
So basically, NYPD officers are under attack by snipers, so Gabe has to go out and save them, even though technically Gabe is also a fugitive who's been framed by the agency for terrorism.
Teresa, I can't get to the sniper. Found it. That SWAT team.
The last 2 grenades are going to be used on some guards here. Took out 2 in this room, and then after the NYPD agent is unfortunately killed, I'm going to take out 2 more with the last grenade.
Sarge, I've got the terrorists. Then back up.
Just got to be careful with the timing, because if you shoot while he's still alive, they're going to treat it as you killing him, even though his death is scripted. Okay, that sniper has trolled me a few times, so I'm glad I got him. Okay, so we can carry on with our mission, which is getting back to the parking garage where Teresa and the chopper are at.
Gabe, I'm receiving a distress signal.
Stop! Throw down your weapon. Place your hands behind your head and lie down.
You actually stay in the open, he'll headshot you.
I need backup now! Officer down!
Bars, you missed the chance to use the meme.
Who are you?
Doesn't matter. Give me.
Interestingly, if you do not take out those 2 guards right away, those are 2 more snipers. Those are extra snipers you'll have to take out later at this point. So best to do it now. Thank you, Mars. Appreciate it. Better late than never.
Teresa, I finished off the last sniper. Teresa, where the...
Drop your...
I'm skipping over easily the darkest cutscene in the original trilogy, where Stevens murders a cop in cold blood.
Teresa, following orders is...
Basically, Teresa saved Gabe by blowing up the floor beneath them, knocking them into the sewers, and now Stevens is racing back to the parking garage.
Oh yeah! Agency training's really coming in handy now.
So yeah, the Teresa gets the UAS-12 automatic shotgun. Unfortunately, we do not.
Try to keep up, old man.
You're supposed to be dead. Oh, that's why. Wow. That's not the way that normally goes. Target button in this game is useful and useless almost in the same motion sometimes.
Gabe, it's working. Hey!
Overall, this mission isn't too bad. There are some little movement tricks you can use early on and toward the end to make it go a little faster, but in general, this is a pretty straightforward mission, all told. The main thing is when you get to the shimmy part, just have a full magazine worth of HK5 because it'll save you a lot of trouble. Also, preferably full health if you can manage it. So yes, I didn't get full health, so I'm actually have to make a pit stop here.
What would you do without me? We're really scaling back the agency payroll.
It's looking about a 128, 129 run.
Gabe, over here.
So again, there's all these guards here. The game kind of wants you to fight them, but it's like, you don't have to.
Gabe, look out! Come here, Gabe. I got a plan. There's too many of them holed up in that...
So basically, she's gonna smoke them out and then take them all out with. You don't want him breaking out of his like
Split up.
bunk.
I'll take the stairs, you try the ramps. Radio if you plan.
Because he is armed with an M79. So these guards here, I'm just gonna ignore them. Just roll up the stairs. Most of them are armed with the H11s, so I don't really have to worry too much about taking severe damage. The main thing is don't take too much damage for the start of so I'm in good shape for the start of the next mission. 2 grenades takes out the last 4 guards, and then we kill Stevens.
You don't want to. You're too late.
So eventually it's revealed that Chance has been an agency operative all along. He's shot Teresa down. Now he's after Gabe, and he's wearing full combat armor. And no weapon will hurt him. Not even the grenade.
You were the best, Logan, but you let that partner...
Basically, I set it up so he runs right behind me, so I can get an easy setup on this guy. Okay. So that's it for SF2. Yes. Thank you. Sheesh. Alright, so it's going to reset for Siphon Filter 3 now. I hope. Come on. You can do it. Oh, shoot. Oh, no. Sorry. I screwed it up. Ah, damn it. So, sorry about that with the timer. My bad.
I can't believe she's gone. She'd be alive today if we hadn't dragged her into
Teresa died the way she lived, doing what she believed in.
In any case, you could hardly.
Okay, so sorry about screwing up the timer there. But it doesn't really matter. It was at 2:34 through 2 games, so it's about a 128. So all right, so we're on to SF3 again. Isn't too many differences from SF2. This is definitely the easiest game in the trilogy, but it does have some interesting quirks to it. The biggest one, and from a combat standpoint, is close range combat is much more dangerous in this game.
You'll find your loadout in the tub.
I'm in position.
Should be.
All right.
Here we go. Got it.
So this opening bit here with the shooting at the guards from the window, there's a lot of RNG to this. The only thing that's not RNG are the 4 lieutenants that are the priority. They will spawn in the same spots, but you have to go through cycles of guards to get to them.
2 more to go. One more.
And where the guards spawn and how, and even how many is kind of random. So, if you're lucky, you can actually get guards kind of stacked on top of each other and take out 2 at the same time, but you really shouldn't be counting on that. So yeah, the Falcon, the game's model of the Desert Eagle, is an extremely overpowered weapon. But, you know, like anything else, that cuts both ways, so you gotta be careful.
I found her.
So this opening mission's pretty straightforward. There's really not a lot to it. The sniping is really sniping has a fair bit of RNG to it, but the rest of it, you know, you can pretty well run through it without too much trouble. Ooh, that's unfortunate.
Come with me if you want to live.
That it.
Right here. The police will be.
He said the line, he sure did. So pretty good first stage.
You've been asked to testify.
Now this mission here is where a lot of runs go to die in speed running. You may remember that there are some plants we have to sample in this game. Well, where they are is RNG, but there are patterns to these, and there are, by my count, 5 patterns.
This jungle looks like it's littered with automated turrets. Stand back, I'll frag this one.
And the difference between the best pattern, God pattern, and the bad pattern is about 75 seconds. So when you're doing a speed run of this, if you don't have the God pattern, you know, you can be playing from a severe handicap right from the get-go.
Another turret? And I'm out.
Which, in fairness, would not be such a big issue, but these first 2 missions are pretty slowly paced compared to, you know, the rest of the game. It's not like the original, which is about as long as the one in SF3, but it's a much faster paced level.
Well.
So that's the key there.
It's Ellis. Executed.
So I'm gonna throw a grenade here and take out this sentry gun. Okay, so let's take a look-see. Okay, so God pattern is still in play. Basically, if that plan had been out, it would have either been bad pattern or near God pattern. But I wouldn't have known which until I got to, after I've done with these objectives in the huts. You're also supposed to get a mine detector in this, but we don't need that. Because I know where the mines are placed. That should be okay. There are cases where when you throw that grenade, it actually goes through the window because of some sprite weirdness, so, you know, best to be, just to make sure on that. Alright, so what pattern do we got today? It's God pattern, outstanding. So the last plan is near where is near where the mines are and where the end of the level is, so we just kind of double back on this one. I screwed it up by mistake, so my bad. So just add 234 to in your head, and that's where I'm at with the clock. My emulator was being stupid, and I got stupid. That's basically what happened, so...
Rihanna discovered that Romer was renting a cargo plane for escape.
So this mission's really short. And you basically confront Romer on this plane, and you try and take him out, but course he'll survive because, you know, he's got to appear in Siphon Filter 1. And this is a prequel mission. So we use the UAS-12 to basically blow Romer off the plane. Yeah.
Got it.
Romer had escaped.
So, for those not familiar with SF3, the game has an odd story structure where we have these meetings in the Senate where we get a lot of flashbacks about the agent, about Gabe and Bujari and Leon and their past experiences with Siphon Filter and all of that. Ooh, I screwed that up. That's my bad. There we go. Yeah, too passive there. Okay, much better. So this mission has some pretty odd sequence breaks, and the game's also going to try and punish me for said sequence breaks throughout. But most of them are pretty manageable, so...
Hostile force within perimeter.
I don't know why, but if I hold a gas grenade going into here, I basically save myself about 10 seconds of walking toward these, apartheid slaves. So, and now here you're supposed to go to this bridge and then stop to take out some guards. We're not going to do that. We are going to run right through and get to the cutscene, and then I'm going to stop the game and reset the checkpoint. And this saves about 30 seconds.
Hey, wait for us.
Like so. Oops. Oh, shoot. There we go. Okay, so that essentially resets the settings and basically moves the game forward without acknowledging that, yes, there's technically some leftovers. But this is going to create a situation where these guards are going to get more aggressive and one's going to try to headshot me. That was actually very fast. That normally takes about another 8 to 10 seconds. And ideally, I would have had Mujari climb to the edge of a platform and then crawl so he's hanging from the ledge. So his position would have been, closer to the mine entrance, but not enough time. And but that's not a huge deal. So these last few guards are going to try to headshot me because I committed the sin of sequence breaking. But again, these guys aren't too dangerous. And one interesting note is while Mujari's voice actor is unique, if Mujari gets hit, all of his sound effects of getting hit are Gabe Logan's. I think the third game, Estella, is the easiest game in the trilogy. It's also got some of the weirdest behavior. there's also a lot of sequence breaks in this game, which I like. Like this mission here has a couple of, it's 2 big ones. So essentially, technically you're supposed to talk to the foreman of the mine to find out what's going on around here. But no, we're just gonna skip that. We're just gonna go right on through to the next part of this mission. Yeah, the Afghan escort mission is definitely the hardest level in the game. It's also the most aggravating for a speed run, because it can very easily go wrong. There are some other aggravating missions here and there, but that's definitely the toughest. Well, 2 is easily the hardest game in the trilogy. Well, yeah, it's probably the hardest mission, casually, the Afghan escort mission.
Press W to send the transmission.
Go with God.
Yeah. So basically, again, using that gas grenade allows me to skip dialogue in part of that cutscene, so I saved about 15 seconds right there. So now DeJesus is gonna take out these guards here so I don't have to do anything, and then I'm gonna use the M79 and these guards coming up the elevator.
Rest easy, my brother. Looks like we've got trouble.
Stay here.
Yeah, SF3 is the easiest. Though the second half is, I think, decidedly more difficult than the first. Now this mission, I know, gets people, kind of in an uproar because, like, well, how the hell am I supposed to know where all the snipers are? It's so hard. The route to taking out all 7 of these snipers is really easy. So the route in this is actually very simple, and you get the AU-300, which is supposed to make this easy. And then you can just you take out 5 snipers before you even pick up the AU-300. So. Ooh, that's unfortunate. It's not a deal breaker, though. Yeah, being able to shoot through the walls really does come in handy here in this level. Yeah, there you go.
Get out! It's going to blow!
So all 7 snipers are down. Now I gotta take out 4 grenade guards to finish this level off.
Objectives completed. Right.
And again, the AU-300 will make quick work of these guys.
Hostiles down.
So, alright, so now after 5 straight flashback missions, we're on our way back to the present day, because Gabe is now investigating
Get this load on shore and get ready.
this cargo ship in tandem with MI6, because the consortium that's behind the agency is transporting samples of the virus out of this place in Ireland. So again, this mission's pretty straightforward. It also has a supremely overpowered weapon in the Spider, which is modeled after the Scorpion submachine gun. Now, the reason why I was shooting in the corridor earlier is it allows me to skip the cutscene where 2 guys were talking, so I saved about 6 seconds. And I'm going to do the same in this room as well. Just alert the guards so I don't have to deal with the cutscene. The guards, for some reason in this level, they have a lot of health. Unless you're actually shooting them with the Spider. So it's actually a good thing that you get this gun, because otherwise this level can be a real slog. See, like that guy took half of a magazine to get rid of him. We're gonna ignore the engineer, he's not required to finish this mission.
Damn!
It's a little tricky sometimes getting through these doorways.
The captain's busy.
So we're gonna pick up the Spider here. Ah. See, 1 round and he's dead. So I'm gonna be being pretty stingy with my Spider ammo, just because I don't get to use. Well, there is actually a refill a little later on, but we're just gonna. I can just do single shot bursts on these guys, and I should be fine. The main thing is I want to have 60 rounds by the time I reach the end, because then I'm going to go to full auto for the last section with the 6 guards on the crane. deal. So yeah, shoot the guy in the shoulder, dead. Yes, but the club will live on in our memories forever. This...
I'm back in the cargo hold, but the crane's been shut off.
So it's just 6 guards up here. The target button makes it pretty easy to get rid of them.
What was your first assignment?
So we're back into the flashbacks now, where we get Leon's portion of the Costa Rica adventure. So she actually gets the UAS-12 and a Falcon, and we put in both to pretty good use here. There's also another major sequence break in this mission where I'm going to basically crawl through a gap in the wall here, and then essentially skip a decent chunk of this mission.
I was only doing my job.
Got it. I've downloaded the
So that this triggers the
main lab computer. Hacking it now.
This triggers the game to basically try and insta-kill me for, again, the crime of sequence breaking. So I'm going to try and get around it, but... I did. Yep.
¿Qué fue eso?
So that's nice.
We have a chopper waiting for you past the eastern...
¿Qué fue eso?
Oh, that was a shotgun, never mind.
Please don't kill me.
We have a chopper waiting for you past the eastern temple.
Allí.
So, so this is going to be another bit where I'm going to skip through a cutscene. No, otherwise I'd have to hear Benton talk about airstrikes. And we don't got time for that.
Please.
The cells are locked.
Alright, so I'm going to use the tear gas launcher. Well, actually, no, wait. First, I'm going to lure the guards out, and then I'm going to use the tear gas launcher on these guards who are holding Elsa Weisinger.
Arrodíllese. Identifíquese.
Nice and clean for once. I had trouble with this bit. It's strangely the first 2 guards where that's the problem. Then it gets easier. You get those 2 guards out of the way, then you can take out the other 4 without too much trouble. We're leaving Elsa and the last computer for the moment, because this just works better in the routing. Well, the way you play this mission actually kind of twists everything around in terms of the sequence. So it's not quite your typical way of going about this mission. At least if you're playing casually, it'd be very different.
The artifact. It is a great.
Okay, so. We'll figure it out, Mars, I'm sure. Find that chopper at the eastern. Yeah, there are quite a few secrets in this level if you actually take the time to play it all the way through, but in a speedrunner's case, no, you're going to be playing this a little quite differently. This is also, I believe, this is the longest mission in the game, so this takes about 7 minutes. There are a couple of missions that, if done correctly, take about 6 minutes, but this is definitely the longest level in the game by a decent margin.
Please! We have a chopper waiting for you past the eastern.
Identifíquese.
This game kind of gets overlooked in general because it came out very late in the PS1 cycle. It came out like 14 months after Syphon Filter, after the PS2 launched, and it was actually delayed 3 months because of 9/11. So it was really kind of just buried in the shuffle there at the end. Yeah, November 2001. So, it was released. It was the last, I think, like really big game for the PS1, and it sold very well. I mean, it didn't tank in the sales or anything, but it definitely kind of got overlooked.
We have a chopper waiting for you past the eastern.
Okay, it was about 7. Okay, it was about 7 weeks. That was 3 months for some reason, but.
We have a chopper waiting for you past the eastern temple. That was our first.
So it's
Are we too late?
Possibly.
Now this is an interesting little bit of trivia, but in the NTSC version, you're facing off against the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, which makes sense considering this mission takes place in Ireland. The PAL version, they're called the ARM, which is not the IRA. It's just it's supposed to be, I think, a random terrorist group, and I think that was for political reasons, I think, more than anything. Us, we can get away with that. In Europe, not so much.
I'm clear. We're locked in. Find a bloody way.
You got to be careful with those guys throwing grenades because they can kill you before and during the cutscene if a grenade gets too close to you. So you got to be quick taking out those barrels and blowing a hole in the wall.
You go on, son. I'll neutralize the threads.
Logan, this is my best locksmith, Jim Russell.
So we basically had to escort this guy to open the safe, and for some crazy reason, this guy is incapable of shooting.
this lock.
Useless Russell is useless, yes. British Gregorov doesn't quite. British Gregorov doesn't really help you all that much.
A classic 50s Walton. No problem.
Well, Ellis isn't exactly all that useful either. He sure isn't very useful in the Afghan mission, that's for sure. Has a tendency to get himself killed just by being. So again, just hanging from the ledge there allows me to position myself closer to the exit, and I get to avoid a couple of guards in the process, so it's like win-win. So now we're going to pick up the spider again because, you know, it was so much fun the last time, and we're going to use it primarily for the next mission, but I might use it a little bit here just to clear out some of these guards. So I'm just going to pick up this flak jacket here at the end just to make sure I have full armor for the next mission.
Got it.
So now we got to save this guy Nigel, who's got himself into a bit of a pickle. Ooh. That's not what was supposed to happen. I didn't really intend to pick up the HK5, but sure, since it's here.
Hello, mate. Maggie told me you...
So, yeah, like I said, close quarters combat will get you killed in this game.
Sniper, run! We'll never make it through unless we stick together. These crates are a bloody maze. Don't get lost.
He's got the main thing with Nigel is you can't get too far ahead of him because, you know, like it is with some of these situations, he'll get himself killed somehow without your intervention. How, I don't know, but that's the way it works. And it turns out Nigel's a traitor, go figure. Alright, back 9. Just 9 levels to go. And per previous comments, yes, this is easily the hardest mission in the game, and maybe the entire trilogy. Because the enemies have a lot of health.
Recon indicates heavy minefields. Let's move on out.
And these 3 guards up front can really put a hurting on you right off the bat, and that's not good because this next section's pretty dangerous. Okay.
Logan, this
On loop, wow. The thing is, after a while, you'd actually get good at this. Oh, oops.
road's clear. I'm ready.
Played that one pretty tight just to be sure.
I see a roadblock ahead.
Main thing is you don't want to take damage here because then you'll probably have to pick up that flak jacket in the middle, and that costs you time. So, better off because you want to set yourself up for the sniper up ahead here. And oh yes, be very careful with those explosives. They have a pretty wide blast radius. If you're too close, you will get killed. And in a mission like this, you really do not want to be taking cheap deaths like that. Should be right about here.
Sniper has me pinned down. Hurry!
Classic box trap.
So now we gotta do protect Ellis while he defuses this landmine, and like 6 guards will show up from different and their directions are actually pretty. There's no RNG
I think I
really.
see another mine. Give me a few minutes and watch my back.
Okay, it was 7, not 6. So I'm gonna just kind of move this along a little bit. I'm gonna get to the end of the canyon here in a sec.
We're being flanked.
This is the most dangerous part of the mission. Yeah. damn target button screwed me, so we'll try that again.
Damn it! Heavy sniper fire from the end of the valley.
Usually I can do that cleanly, but yeah, that's the trick. Get in front of the truck and use that as a buffer. So if you actually try to turn this into a shooting match, you're going to lose every time. So now we're at the end here, there's 9 guards, and how they generate is fairly random, but their positions aren't. So there's always... Oof. Okay. That's 3-9.
Just blast the fence so we can move.
Fortunately, you can't pick up any of this ammo, which really would come in handy in the next mission, but, you know.
When we reached the city, I asked Ella.
Since time-wise, I'm about 3:22 right now, combining my 2 times.
Benton, get ready to pull.
This mission is fairly straightforward, but this is one of the few times where you get an endless supply of guards, and that can really make things difficult for you. So you gotta be...
Logan, Zing here.
You gotta be pretty on the ball with your movement, because you gotta blow up this tank, which is not too difficult. It's in of itself, although that tank will kill you in 1 hit. Oh, really? You didn't kill him with that? Alright, so basically I had to plant 1 explosive right here. Okay, so the trap is set. Now I just gotta wait this out until the tank arrives. Oh, God. There it is. Alright, so down to the last 7. So basically, we're back in the present, and we're in the Australian outback. The consortium is using Aborigines as test subjects for the final phase of Syphon Filter. So there's a little bit of RNG here because you're supposed to pick up 3 pieces of for a vaccine, and their location is randomized. So that does leave some variance in terms of timing, but it's not as significant as the Costa Rican mission. So the AU-300 is going to get some utility here, but not as much as you'd think.
The unseen. Who were you expecting?
Now, the game actually gives you these helpful, blue squares so you can pick up the vaccine. In hard mode, you have to look up the map to find them yourself. It's not going to just come out and give them to you. No, of course not. So in terms of RNG, this is actually not too bad. This is a pretty standard pattern. That first spot is almost always one of the three. The others, there's I think 5 or 6 other locations the others can be at. So I'm going to just do a nice little skip here and take out these guards.
Were you able to get everything? It's all right. We must move.
Yeah, be very careful. Those guys are carrying K3G4s, and, you know, a couple of bursts and you're dead.
The helicopter is this way.
Remember, these things cut through flak jackets. So pretty easy level. Now this is one of the only like mandatory stealth portions of the game. This opening bit where I've got to take out the consortium commander Silvers, who's going to execute all the test subjects unless Leon stops him. So, but getting rid of him is actually pretty easy. So, but you just have to be stealthy until you get rid of him, and then you can, you know, shoot as much as you like.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm gonna use the K3G4 for the rest, at least until I get back to the chopper. Because all these guards are wearing flak jackets, and all of them are carrying the same weapons, so as me.
Thank you.
So it just makes sense to match them fire with fire on this one. Now, as it is with, you know, the snipers in the Afghanistan mission, it's a little tricky at first to know where all the test subjects are, but there's no RNG to this, so once you figure out where they are, the route is pretty simple.
Hey, it's Agent Singh, killer!
Thank you. Thank you.
Leon, there's a small force.
How many guards actually try to headshot you in this game? That guy is one of them. Alright, so 5 to go.
Now, can you tell me?
So now we get, turns out Teresa's been alive all this time.
I repeat, agents under fire. Be careful.
So now we play as her for 3 missions. So this mission essentially involves a downed government satellite that lands near a survivalist compound, and the NSA is basically trying to kill everybody involved in the acquisition of said satellite, and just a big old mess. So.
Get out of here
And Teresa doesn't know what's going on until she witnesses the compound leader being murdered, and Gabe is posing as an NSA agent saves her.
Hey, lady, these guys aren't FBI. You gotta help us. This is. Randy, Billy, get down.
So the crossbow plays a pretty important role once again, and I'm going to be using it sparingly throughout the next 2 missions to take out certain guards, and there are going to be a couple of little sequence breaks, mostly in the next mission.
What the?
You have one more chance to tell us where you've taken us.
So now that Teresa knows what's going on, she needs to remove the tracking beacon so the NSA can't, hone in on their positions as easily, I guess. So, for some reason, this guy, instead of just shooting me, just decides to run away from me. Figure that one out. The crossbow is really meant for this section up ahead. You're supposed to really use all of your crossbow arrows, but in this case we're only going to need to use one. Ooh, that's not good. Should be okay. Yeah, it's not going to affect anything.
I don't recognize that agent. Shoot her.
Don't usually miss, though.
There's another fed. Shoot to kill.
Alright, so that's that mission. So now we go.
So Logan murdered 2 FBI.
So now we head into the compound proper, and there are again a few sequence breaks here where I'm going to basically just be trying to run through this mission as fast as possible. So there's a fair amount to explore in this mission, but again, we don't have time for that, so.
Where did Oakton hide the satellite data?
What satellite? Just leave us alone.
Wrong answer. Commander Silvers, this is Lieutenant Brown.
Soldier, report.
Yeah, well.
Where is that data? Oakton has it. Jesus, down! Get her!
Oh. Yeah, I don't think you can. You don't think you can save that guy.
Data? It's not in this warehouse. I suspect it's somewhere.
This is again a very minor stealth bit you have to do.
Agent Steinkraus, have you found the data yet?
Not yet, sir. I'm interrogating one of Oakton's captains now. I'll report back. Out.
Almost.
This is Agent Quinn, sir.
He has succeeded, huh?
Levon, come in.
Teresa, is that you?
Kelly.
So I'm
Yeah. Hurry up and
supposed to take out these agents and the.
You out of here.
I'm gonna basically take out these guards here. And then just skip the cutscene. And it saves about 10 seconds. So now I have 2 crossbow arrows, and that's a good thing, because I need to
Jim, can we get...
take out these guys, to put these guys to sleep, so I can proceed. Although, truth be told, they actually make this next bit easier. But, again, that's not faster. So... Alright. Well, you know, they're trying to be thoughtful and all. I am going to take one safety here, just so I don't have to do this bit again. Because there's a chance I'll get headshotted. Well, assuming the game lets me.
I'm going out! Cover me in 3, 2, 1!
Well, that's... I'm glad now I did do that, safety.
I'm going out! Cover me in 3, 2...
Unfortunately, I don't think I'm skipping the cutscene this time.
Get back!
Oh, I did. Okay. So yeah, these guys are gonna headshot me. Okay. These guys are really dangerous down here in the bunker. Like, they have, like, superhuman accuracy. That's a neat trick if you can pull it off, Nemesis. I don't know.
Hurry! My mom's waiting in the bunker.
Yeah, really. So again, this is more sequence breaking, where I'm just going to basically skip sections.
Need a second to plant this.
Because, oh, I don't have to do that. You know, let's just move on with this. So normally he's supposed to protect Dusty while he plants those explosives. Take it under advisement. Okay, so M79 takes care of these guys. These guards in this level have a lot of health for some reason. Like, they're superhuman on par with the Afghans in the escort mission.
Stay here. It's dangerous, but I...
So this part here...
Use these. I can find my way around.
I'm going to try and get ahead of Dusty, so when I get to the next set of guards, he's not in my way while I'm trying to take care of them. Because, unfortunately, he is a real pain. And just not worth the time or trouble. Alright, so we use the
her down the stairs.
So again, you're supposed to actually talk to Dusty and his mom and find out, because she's pregnant, that she needs medicine so she can actually, move. But we're just going to skip that part and just go get the medicine. So you may remember in SF1 there was that part where I shot Leon to get her to move faster. Well,
Where did you get that gun?
I'm going to be doing it again. Yes, even to a pregnant woman, because this saves about 90 seconds. I know, I'm so terrible.
You going to let a pregnant woman go at it alone?
Taking notes, oh boy.
I don't know if I can make it.
Just a few more guards here in this final tunnel. So this is pretty much the end of the level, and Dusty's going to set some explosives here to block out the entrance. And then we go to a service tunnel where Gabe will come and pick us up off stage.
I'm gonna blast this to slow them down for good.
So yeah, there's like 4 guards that appear, and the game kind of wants you to fight them, but we don't have to. Alright, so...
Logan, do you read me? Got it.
So it's revealed after this that the guy that's been interrogating them is Vince Hatton is actually, on top of being Secretary of State, is the head of the arms consortium that's been behind the agency all along. Well, sort of. Omega Strain kind of retconned some of that. So...
Spy game coming out next year. I hate those things.
Yeah. Just gonna ignore those 2 guards.
Hey, did you hear about that new spy game coming out next year?
So we gotta save these two bomb experts from consortium agents. There are 5 of them. It's a good pattern.
Thanks for the rescue. Right. How many bombs?
So just gotta break into Haddon's office now and get the cancellation code for the explosives. You know, before they blow the entire building to Kingdom Come. Where the cancellation code is in one of 4 locations, and this is the least optimal.
Jory, I got the camp.
It's Logan! Shoot to kill!
So now we gotta chase Mara, who's gonna get on a Senate train. So what Siphon Filter game would be complete without a train?
You will never stop me, Logan.
Unlimited guards in this section, but not too bad. Alright, down to the wire. Last mission in the trilogy.
Mujari, I followed Mara.
So basically, there's like 21 train cars, and we gotta get all the way to the end. And we're gonna have to save 3 hostages along the way. The G-18 does most of the work in this mission. There are a few places where I'll use the H-11 and the K-3G4 though. Nice right let.
I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, we'll try to do a lot of things.
Don't let him get the arrow mark!
Oh. Cutting that a little close, aren't I?
Thank you. I owe you my life.
Yeah, 3 for 3. It's not always a given with the hostages.
You almost got me killed. Expect a call from my lawyer.
Maybe we should have just let him die then. Now, normally you're supposed to get the AU-300 here. We're not going to need that. We're gonna get Mara from a distance. We're gonna trick the game into thinking there's nothing there. We're just gonna shoot her down. Time comes up and the cutscene begins. So all told, that was about a 351 run. About 350, 351.
Okay, got it. Thanks. Mara's gone. Apparently security didn't see anything. Cameras have been wiped.
Figures. Guess your first task as agency chief will be tracking her down once and for all.
Yeah.
My first job is rebuilding from the ground up. With people.
So much better than last year. I think last year was like a low 4, like a high 350, I think.
Looking for a job.
So this was about 2 minutes off my PB. So it's very satisfying to get that done. So, well, thanks as always for everyone who watched, and I hope you give me a follow on both my Twitch and YouTube channels. So I streamed simulcast on both of those, and much appreciated. And so again, thanks to RGL as always for giving me a platform for this. I think this will be the last time I do Siphon Filter, though, as a speed run, at least in any real capacity. And I'm looking forward to trying new things and trying new interests in my passion as a gamer. So looking forward to that, but I wanted to give a good send-off to Syphon Filter and to the trilogy with one last exhibition. So thanks all for giving me this chance, and as always, I appreciate having the platform. So thanks all. It means a lot.